a Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman André Carson is joining us. Congressman, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Wolf.
Do you know yet who at the White House gave the House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes those intelligence reports?
Well, I've seen the public reports as you have seen them. I think what is clear, Wolf, is that what Chairman Nunes has done, and I know Devin, I've traveled with Devin. He's a good person aside from this, but what he has done has been a tremendous fumble and a tremendous mistake. And as a member of the committee, along with other Democrats, we're calling for a recusal simply for the fact because we know how damaging his actions are and have been.
The New York Times, as you know, reports that two White House officials gave Chairman Nunes this information. They were high-level officials, the senior director for intelligence at the National Security Council, and a lawyer who was working on the National Security Council in the White House counsel's office. Can you say if these people gave Chairman Nunes these intelligence reports on their own, or were they authorized at higher levels to do so?
No, sir.
But that's a key question right now from the standpoint of your investigation. Who authorized these individuals to share this information with the chairman? Is that right?
I think what's most disappointing, Wolf, is that he did not consult with the ranking member, Adam Schiff. And I think in a very real sense, Speaker Ryan will make the call, or should make the call. He has refused to so far, as to remove him at least from the position of chairman so we could move forward with this investigation. We have to remember it was the House Intelligence Committee, and it is the House Intelligence Committee that has gotten us this far in terms of unearthing the necessary truths that are needed to get to the bottom of this madness. And so it has put a taint on the committee without question, but moving forward, I think in order to do so in a healthy way, in an effective way, he should recuse himself.
If in fact the New York Times report is true and these two individuals gave this information to the chairman, he suggested in various interviews, he called them whistleblowers. Do you see them as whistleblowers? Well,
at this point, absolutely not. But however, as we go forward, we will see, which is why a special commission is necessary in dealing with this matter. I will say that the Intelligence Committee is a place, a safe haven for textbook whistleblowers. But I think what has happened right now is very questionable. The way it was handled is very questionable. And so the questions that you are raising are so important as a part of the Fourth Estate. It's so critically important because as we're dealing with a president who is accusing President Obama of things that are very unfortunate. We have a president who is saying things, and his impulsivity is really bringing down the reputation of the United States, and I think it's bringing down the morale of those staffers on both sides of the political aisle, in the administration, in the intelligence community who work so very hard. And I think it's darkening the cloud that already exists over not only the White House, but of Congress, and the American people are disillusioned, they're disappointed, and they're distrustful of our political process.
Chairman Nunes told me during a lengthy interview on Monday here in the Situation Room, when I asked if he was coordinating with the Trump administration, and he said that wasn't the case. Do you believe Chairman Nunes was telling the truth when describing his sources?
Well, I can't speak to that at this point. What I will say, he made a bad judgment call in going to the White House. I think that he has shown himself to lack the objectivity needed to chair the Intelligence Committee. And I think in reality, going forward, we need someone else to lead this effort along with Ranking Member Schiff so we can continue doing the phenomenal work that the members who serve on that committee, that the staffers on both sides of the aisle do each and every day to really do the hard work that we've been doing. Remember, Wolf, were it not for the House Intel Committee and Senate, we wouldn't have unearthed the truths that have gotten us this far.
If these two senior officials at the National Security Council and the White House counsel's office released this information to Chairman Nunes on their own without clearance from their supervisors, the White House counsel or the National Security Advisor, to the president or the vice president or the president, should they be fired?
Absolutely. I think they have really jeopardized the integrity of the process in terms of delivering information, transporting information, and really breaking the chain of command if this happens to be true.
If that happens to be true. Stand by, Congressman. There's more to discuss. We're following several breaking stories right now. We'll be right back. We're back with the Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, Congressman André Carson. Congressman, stand by for a few moments. Right now, I want to get an update on the Russia investigation that's underway in the Senate. A hearing today drove home the gravity of the Kremlin threat to the American democracy. CNN's Jessica Schneider was there watching it all unfold. Some very serious issues came to the fore.
Yeah, it did. And you know, the Senate Intelligence Committee today, Wolf, all business, and the experts sending a clear message. Russians orchestrated widespread hacking during the campaign, and it is still happening right now. The Senate Intelligence Committee investigating the details of Russian meddling throughout the 2016 election.
Our community has been a target of Russian information warfare, propaganda, and cyber campaigns, and still is.
This is not fake news. This is actually what happened to us.
Ranking Democrat Mark Warner stressing the bipartisan aim of the process.
I want to make clear, at least for me, this information is not about whether you have a D or an R next to your name. It is not about relitigating last fall's election. It is about clearly understanding and responding to this very real threat.
The first open hearing featured disclosures from experts on Russia and cybersecurity. They've deduced Russian interference may have been more wide-ranging than previously believed.
Russia's overt media outlets and covert trolls sought to sideline opponents on both sides of the political spectrum with adversarial views towards the Kremlin. They were in full swing during both the Republican and Democratic primary season and may have helped sink the hopes of candidates more hostile to Russian interests long before the field narrowed. Senator Rubio, in my opinion, you anecdotally suffered from these efforts.
Republican Senator Marco Rubio revealing for the first time attempted hacks of his staff occurred last July and again yesterday.
A second attempt was made, again, against former members of my presidential campaign team who had access to our internal information, again targeted from an IP address from an unknown location in Russia. And that effort was also unsuccessful.
Clint Watts, a senior fellow at a national security think tank, said during the campaign, Donald Trump repeated claims also pushed by Russian media.
He denies the intel from the United States about Russia. He claimed that the election could be rigged. That was the number one theme pushed by RT, Sputnik News, white outlets all the way up until the election.
Senator Ron Wyden now urging the committee to call for President Trump's tax returns as part of the investigation.
The committee needs to follow the money wherever it leads.
Russia is also accused of launching an online smear attack against House Speaker Paul Ryan following the fallout from his failed health care plan.
This past week, we observed social media accounts discrediting Speaker of the House Paul Ryan, hoping to further foment unrest inside U.S. democratic institutions.
And those experts say the Russians seem to be winning in cyberspace because they have great propagandists and they have the best hackers out there. In the testimony today, they stressed the U.S. government needs to change its methods to start attracting top technical talent. Wolf?
No doubt the Russians are pretty happy about all the dissent that has developed here in the United States. Thanks very much for that, Jessica Schneider reporting. Let's get back to Representative André Carson of the Intelligence Committee. Congressman, the Senate is now making a point that they have a bipartisan effort to find the truth. The House Speaker, Paul Ryan, today called the process in the House a little political, but that's clearly an understatement. You're on that panel. How do you fix it?
Well, I think we fix it by first pushing Speaker Ryan to allow Chairman Nunes to recuse himself and get someone in the chair seat, working alongside ranking member Schiff. And I think also we have more open hearings now because of the classified level and the sensitivity of a lot of the information that we deal with, and many of the folks in the intelligence community. We have to have these settings in a classified area. However, I think the public needs to know. The public needs to see this played out. This is unfortunate for our democracy at this time. And I think Wolf, in a very real sense, it is time for the American people to be engaged in what's taking place, given low levels of congressional approval, even lower levels of presidential approval. The American people have become disillusioned to a degree that is very troubling. And so now we have to launch an influence campaign of bipartisanship to win back the American people.
Do you believe the Republicans on your Intelligence Committee will allow an open public hearing with Sally Yates, the former acting attorney general, former CIA director John Brennan, former director of national intelligence James Clapper? It had been scheduled for this past Tuesday, but the chairman suddenly canceled it. Will it happen?
I don't want to speak on behalf of my Republican buddies on the committee, but I will say that they are just as disappointed and embarrassed as the Democrats are.
They clearly are frustrated that hearing was canceled. Is that what I'm hearing?
Frustration, along with a bit of embarrassment in terms of impacting the reputation and the integrity of the Intelligence Committee process. And I think moving forward, Speaker Ryan has to be bold in this regard and make sure that Devin, if not removes himself from the committee, because I know Devin personally, but recuses himself as chair and over this investigation.
But you're saying that some Republican members of the committee have expressed these same fears to you about him and about where this committee is going?
I can't speak on behalf of my Republican friends, but I can say that, outside of our political posturing, outside of some of our political statements, we all want what's best for this country.
Congressman André Carson, thanks very much for joining us.
What a pleasure. Thank you.
Just ahead, more confusing statements from the White House as critics find new ammunition to allege a cover-up. We'll have more on the breaking news right after this.